Stephen Hawking's Brief History of Time, first published in 1988. This book that I'm outlining is actually republished in 2017, so there's there are some updates, especially the after chapter 12. So there's 12 chapters. After chapter 12, there's an appendix, and there's some updates about certain theories, like the cosmic background, the dark energy, all those, that updates like what we know so far. Because at that time of publication, it was still like theorized, and then so far we do have some experiments or some conclusion to some of the theorized works. So brief history of time, the concepts that were introduced should be somewhat familiar to us, especially the younger generation, because it's been depicted in movies, sci-fi movies. It's been talked about many times, so like the black holes and all that, the universe, even the CMB, the cosmic background, even string theory, sort of, that there are dimensions, there could be many dimensions, the multiverse, because of all these, like as I said, like the Marvel movies showing multiverses and all that. But all these work was compiled in 1988. I don't know if any other, but just by Stephen Hawking has talked about it. Are there any other authors? Possibly, maybe, most likely. And so it begins with, it's more of a scientific journey, from the fact that, even in ancient times, we sort of, philosophers, those who actually, are able to have the time to do some scientific inquiry, did notice, was able to make conclusions just by looking at, natural phenomena, like the, or phenomena, like the, eclipse, the fact that, it's always projecting Earth as a sphere, or it projected Earth as a sphere, makes us think that, the shape of our Earth, even though we haven't gotten out, we don't have that camera in those times, that it must have been a sphere, because of the fact that what was being projected by the moon, as we look at the moon, is a sphere. And if the Earth was flat, then we should see that sometimes, I guess it depends on the position of Earth as the eclipse occurred, that the Earth should be projecting a bit of elongated and a bit more flatter, but not spherical. So something like that, those are things that even the ancients were able to deduce. And then, that even those people many thousands years ago has, conducted experiments like the lead and the feather, the fact that air resistance did create those variations in the speed, and all those, the gravity and all that. And also it, it's a scientific documentation of like what else have been inquired, theorized. So like the how did something to do with the Big Bang, and the fact that we see, or how those the speed of light, time travel. So those are questions that we've pondered for so long, and they've kind of how is it possible? Can we travel faster than the speed of light, and all the extra dimensions, wormholes, So it is a good read. I think that right now it might not be as harder to kind of read because it is sort of familiar concepts already, although there's still some details. So I think, but overall, this book we do have, it's a good example of what we can outline. It's a like a book that does read better if we make an outline, and it doesn't take that long. Like if you really sit down and do the work, it could be just for one day. It could be several hours, but it's doable. Like 1 to 2 days. I did rest. I did like work like maybe 4 hours, and then another 4 hours. So, um, you know, because it is kind of harder to like really grasp if you don't like take a break and kind of really think about what was being introduced. But it is a hard read, but not an impossible read. Uh, Especially, but outlining it really helps. So if I read also ChatGPT create summaries, for every 2 page, almost every 2 page. But if I felt that the concept was actually repeated, then I, don't bother to outline. I will just, go to the next page if it's kind of saying the same things. So you might say, am I now an expert? Not really. Like I said, those are, you know, um, kind of just introduce uh, topics, and no boundaries. It was like, that's still a debatable, like, whether or not the initial conditions could have been different or something like that. Why life existed. Why does does the universe because of the initial conditions, is it that the universe is the way it is? Life is what it is because of those initial conditions. And if it was different, then could it have produced other kinds of life? Why is it that it's not a 3D? Why is it's 3D and not 2D? There's no boundary. Stephen Hawking said, if no boundary would have meant, I think, that it could have been different conditions. I think so. And then that there's pockets of spaces in the universe that could have, or have different dimensions. What else? So, like almost everything, if you're not really like engaged on a certain topic, kind of it's we kind of just touch on the surface of the topics. But like I said, it is sort of familiar to us because of all of the media that we're consuming, that it did touch on those topics. So